Hi Mike, hi Brett. Stuart Watson, East Anglian Daily Times and Ipswich Star, the two daily newspapers who cover the club. Welcome. Did you look at some other clubs along the way?
Sure, we did. We probably spent about a year looking more broadly before we focused on Ipswich. So yeah, we looked at a number, but we liked Ipswich the best.
Mm-hmm. And could you just give us an idea of what you've actually acquired in terms of the training ground, the stadium, the things like that?
Sure. Let's start with the stadium. The club has a long-term lease on the area on which the stadium is built, but it owns the buildings that are there. So that's a sort of an unusual mixture. It's leasehold on the actual land, but it's freehold on the buildings. At the training ground, the club owns pretty much all of it outright. There is a little chunk of about 3 acres that Marcus has bought, or has retained rather, and not sold to us. But the vast majority of it has passed over to us. And I think in property terms, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. And the majority of the debt has been written off, Marcus has said in his statement. Can you give us an idea of figures on that, or is that something that you don't want to?
We have repaid approximately 21 million of debt. Marcus has waived the balance of all other debts that were there. And remaining, Marcus hasn't waived all. There's a tiny bit left. There's about 400,000 of debt that remains, and that's debt between Ipswich Town PLC and Ipswich Town Limited. That's the only debt that's left. Apart from that, the club is debt-free.
Mm-hmm. And have you got a sort of an initial investment figure in mind, guys? The initial amount?
Other than saying it's substantial, I'm not sure we'd want to say much more, really. We don't want to hamper our negotiation ability when we want to buy players.
But Marcus has always said that he would only, as some of the guys have alluded to, it would only be people that can take it forward further than him. And Marcus has put a significant amount of money into this club over his 13-year period. And Brett, you've mentioned it. This is not for the faint-hearted. Big success in the States, but I guess English football is another ball game, so to speak, in terms of what's going to be required. You're ready for that challenge?
Yeah, I know. I think literally and figuratively, it's a whole nother ball game. But yeah, we've been at this for several years in terms of wanting to make something happen. And as Mike has talked to, we've been very focused on Ipswich for a great part of that time. And so we and at the risk of repeating myself, we approach this with complete humility. We have enough experience to recognize, I don't care where you are in the world, if you're invested in football and you're trying to win, it's not for the faint of heart. It requires a lot of time, it requires a lot of money. But all that being said, money isn't the answer to everything. I'm very fortunate to be involved and a part owner of a club in Denmark. It's one of the lowest payrolls in that league, and we're at last, I think we're sitting in 4th place. So it's about money's important, culture's important. A pride in winning is important, and it's not always going to work out well. But if it's not, then you've got to take accountability for it and continue to make the changes to hopefully get those results.
Can I ask you a little bit about your time in London, Brett, and when you first kind of fell in love with the beautiful game? When you were over, obviously, here with a working role, what were the games who were you watching at that time?
Yeah, I played growing up. I did recognize when I started to get into high school that my future in sport lay elsewhere. There was way too much talent out there. So, but I had the pleasure of running a company based in the UK. I ran the international division for a company called Targus. And so I spent 5 years there, 5 incredible years, and I had a front row seat. Not just in England of the beautiful game, but everywhere I traveled around the world. The common denominator, the religion for this sport globally, I brought it back to America, and I was really focused on trying to find a way to start to get involved with the sport in the States. And now again, really proud to bring it full circle back to England, where I would say for me, it all began. I have a good family friend who is arguably Arsenal's #1 supporter. So, had a long, long time ago, went to Highbury, saw that firsthand. I've been to Emirates. My allegiance probably shifted over time to Chelsea because of my relationship with Didier Drogba, and now I'm all in on Ipswich. So I'm gonna leave any prior loyalty to those clubs well behind. But they deserve credit. My time over there deserves credit relative to what I would say is being the genesis of my initial investment and recognizing that Phoenix was a great untapped soccer market. But once I broke the seal and was able to find the right geography, right partners, and start to make this happen. And this is not an ego play for me. This is I'm invested in this to succeed. I bring partners in it to succeed, and succeed from my perspective means winning. But it's a long, long way of saying that I've always felt that if you're invested in this sport, the ultimate market is in England. So this is a dream for me to, with this day, to now have a club in England. And I, as I've said, I take it with complete reverence and humility, and hope to make everyone proud. And we'll certainly do everything I can, and by extension, I know my partners will, to make this a success.
Yeah, and a wider development in Ipswich we've seen with the Pawtucket project. Obviously, it's a huge. It goes far beyond the sports team. Is there plans from an Ipswich point of view to have an impact on the town and the society in general?
Yeah, the quick answer is I hope so. Rhode Island and some other areas, the Phoenix and Market, the Tucson, I've kind of looked at the social and economic impact that professional soccer can have in communities, and started to find ways to invest in what I'll call multi-asset developments that can really create jobs and economic change. So aspirationally, would love to start to see that be part of the calculus with Ipswich specifically. That being said, from inception, the focus has been to acquire the club and to start to change the trajectory, get it back up to championship, and then ideally start to look at getting it up to the Premier League. So a disproportionate amount of the focus is going to be on winning games and investing in both the on and off experience, investing in the academy, et cetera. So the development would solely be if that was the right thing for the broader community. Candidly, it's not part of our business plan, if you will.
Yeah. Just one more question, if that's okay, then we'll move on.
Yeah, sorry. Money has been mentioned, time has been mentioned, but contacts, eclectic group of people that you've worked with in the other projects, that's going to be a huge thing that you're going to bring to the table, hopefully.
I hope so. Again, I feel very proud of all the relationships that we've been able to build up. And again, my partnership with Berkay Bakai, with Mark Detmer, the relationships that collectively the extended ownership group in Phoenix have, hopefully we can start to bring that to bear. I do think that increasingly the world of soccer, in the most positive sense, is getting smaller. And so you want to find ways so that a club like Ipswich can leverage relationships in the States, relationships on the continent, et cetera. And I think we'll do that.
Great. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.